Hi, welcome back to PMP Exam Express. Have you ever dealt with difficult stakeholders during different phases of your projects? In this video, we tackle questions that can help you deal with stakeholders effectively and prepare for your PMP exam. Let's get into it. 1. During a steering meeting, sponsor John Miller asks you, PM Rebecca Jones, to start executing a vendor change immediately because the field can't wait. The vendor change adds scope, increases cost, and may breach acceptance criteria. The charter names John as ultimate approver, but the Change Control Board meets weekly. What do you do first? A. Start the change to preserve momentum and log it later. B. Ask John for a documented change request and perform an impact analysis before any work begins. C. Request the vendor split the change into a quick patch and a formal change so you can deliver now. D. Escalate John's instruction to the PMO head and instruct the vendor to stop. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Insist on a documented change request and impact analysis to protect baselines and compliance. Even sponsors must follow change control unless they formally authorize an emergency exception. 2. Senior Manager Arti Sharma repeatedly sends urgent fixes directly to developers, bypassing Scrum Master Mark and the product backlog. Which two actions are most appropriate? Select 2. A. Tell developers to ignore Arti's requests unless they come through Mark or the backlog. B. Document each bypass, notify Arti in writing of the impacts, and copy the project sponsor. C. Create an ad hoc team outside sprint commitments to handle her requests. D. Convene a short meeting with Arti, Mark, and the product owner to re-establish the communication and prioritization process. Correct answers, B and D. Explanation. Create traceability by documenting bypasses and restore the agreed process through a reconciling meeting. Instructing developers to ignore or ad hoc work undermines governance and relationships. 3. Client representative David Clark emails developers a SQL script to fix production data. The script would expose personally identifiable information and violates the data handling clause in the contract. Your immediate response is A. Implement the script and mask PII later. B. Delete the email to avoid conflict. C. Document David's request, halt any deployment, notify security and legal, and propose a compliant, masked dataset alternative. D. Run the script in production overnight to avoid detection. Correct answer, C. Explanation. PII exposure is a legal risk. Document the request, stop deployment, and involve security, legal, to produce compliant alternatives. 4. During UAT, sponsor Priya Singh demands sign-off despite 10 open high-severity defects and threatens to cut the budget if sign-off is delayed. Which two actions are correct? Select 2. A. Provide conditional written sign-off capturing Priya's acceptance of risk and request funds for post-release fixes. B. Refuse sign-off and terminate the contract immediately. C. Escalate to the PMO and legal, present test evidence, and request formal written risk acceptance with contingency plans. D. Reclassify defect severities to meet acceptance. Correct answers, A and C. Explanation. If the sponsor truly accepts the risk, document conditional sign-off with funding and mitigation and escalate to governance, legal to formalize acceptance. Falsifying severities or abrupt termination are inappropriate. 5. Procurement lead. Ravi Kapoor informs you CFO Richard Blake chose a preferred supplier informally because they're trusted partners, but procurement policy requires 3 competitive bids. What is the correct course? A. Proceed with the preferred supplier and complete the 3-bid paperwork retrospectively. B. Tell Richard the 3-bid process must be followed, document his request, and involve procurement to approve a single source exception or run the formal process. C. Cancel procurement and ask the sponsor to find another supplier. D. Hire the preferred supplier on a short consult and then convert. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Follow procurement policy. Document executive request and route through procurement for exception approval or formal competition, retrospective paperwork, or informal hiring risks, compliance breaches. 6. Lead architect Alex Turner keeps receiving technical directives from board member Nisha Kapoor that conflict with the architecture decision record. Which 2 responses are most appropriate? Select 2. A. Implement Nisha's directives immediately to avoid political fallout. B. Document Nisha's emails, convene an architecture review with Alex and Nisha to reconcile differences, and route any agreed changes through configuration control. C. Reply all and publicly call out Nisha for causing confusion. D. Maintain current architecture until changes are formally approved and update the architecture record only after approval. Correct answers: B and D. Explanation: documenting directives, reconciling formally, and using configuration control preserves technical integrity. Public confrontation or unilateral compliance are risky. 7. QA lead. Marcus Patel refuses to sign the release certificate because regulatory tests are incomplete. Sponsor Daniel Reed insists sign-off is required for commercial reasons. What should you do? A. Follow Daniel and sign off to meet commercial timelines. B. Convene an emergency governance session to present the compliance risk, propose compensating controls or a limited scope release, and seek formal written approval if risk is accepted. C. Ask Marcus to sign and promise to complete testing post-release. D. Release to a subset of users without informing compliance. Correct answer: B. Explanation: regulatory risk needs governance-level visibility and documented acceptance or compensating controls. Bypassing QA or hiding issues is unacceptable. 8. During an outage, sponsor Amina Khan tells you to bypass environmental approvals to speed deployment. Which 2 actions are appropriate? Select 2. A. Bypass approvals immediately because speed is critical. B. Document Amina's instruction, assess legal operational risk, and request expedited approvals via emergency change procedures. C. Escalate to governance if Amina lacks authority to waive approvals and involve compliance or legal. D. Deploy now and backdate approvals after stability is proven. Correct answers: B and C. Explanation: even in crisis, document instructions and pursue emergency approval paths. Escalate if authority is insufficient. Bypassing or backdating approvals is non-compliant. 9. Program Manager Emily White sends a spreadsheet of live customer records to the test environment to reproduce a defect. The contract forbids using production data in non-production systems. What is your immediate action? A. Load the data to reproduce the defect because it's faster. B. Inform Emily the contract forbids this, delete the file, and offer to create an anonymized or synthetic dataset with security. C. Ignore the spreadsheet and proceed without reproducing. D. Forward the spreadsheet to developers and ask them to sanitize it privately. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Contract and privacy obligations prohibit using production data. Decline, remove the file, and provide compliant alternatives. 10. VP of Sales. James Walker promises a client additional features to close a deal. Those features require a new paid module and extend the timeline. Which 2 actions should you take? Select 2. A. Start informal work to demonstrate progress because sales promised it. B. Inform sales in writing of scope, time, cost impacts, request that sales submit a formal change request and secure funding, and update release planning only after approval. C. Secretly rescope current deliverables to include the promised features. D. Escalate to the sponsor if sales cannot formalize the change and obtain funding promptly. Correct answers, B and D. Explanation. Sales commitments must be formalized into change requests with funding. Document impacts and escalate if sales fails to secure approval. Informal work or secret rescoping bypasses governance. Thank you for watching. We will meet on the next video. Please like, subscribe, and share.